agreed on how I beat. Give me paper, pen, and one mic to make this man complete. I'm always stay sucker free. So haters hop off my dish till the day I DIE. Focus till my mission complete. Never stops that victory from the jaws of defeat. Focused on create heat. Missile shot, wore down enemies. We must defeat. This MC is so unique. Rocking heads, stop them dead, then bring them back to their feet. You better watch what you speak. Just popping off with the mouth, I'll leave your body feel weak. Switch your face and grit your teeth. Cause anything else will have your outlook look bleak. Death is the time for sleep. Never slow down, never stop, I'm always on my grind. In any mountain I will climb. Reach my physical climb and I ascend to the peak. Introducing Omar, the Professor Fonseca, and the Professor Semanalmente. Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up, friends? Yes, welcome to a special edition of the Professor's Semanalmente. I am your host, Omar, the Sports Professor Fonseca. Yes, today it will be all about the sports. Usually we bring you news, entertainment, U.S. news, all that good stuff. But no. We had the best sporting day of the year yesterday, the sports Equinox. All four major U.S. sports played in one day. We will talk all about it. We will catch you up on all of the sports news, including the amazing Game 3 from the World Series last night. Wow, what a game, 18 innings. We're going to talk all about it. Also, we'll give you our NFL college football rankings, and as well the NHL, NBA will keep you updated on their season that just started. And as well, we'll talk about the WNBA labor negotiations and a little bit of women's college basketball all-American team. So buckle up. Quick 45-minute show because I do got to get out of here to get to someplace in a little bit. So let's kick this bad boy off. Please make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. Hit that like button, whether watching now or on the replay. It does help us out in the algorithm, gets us out to other fans that may not know about us. So we thank you for hitting that like button, that love, that laugh, whatever you want. A little love, laugh, life, decor, home photo, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Just give it to me. All right, cool. I like it that way. All right, let's get into it. Yes, what a sporting day yesterday was. Have you heard, if you're not a sports fan, you may not have heard of the sports Equinox, but what a happy sports Equinox it was. The sports Equinox indicates that we have all four major sports playing in one day, and it only happens nowadays. Well, it's happening more frequently, at least once a year now. It is the 32nd time it's happened in history. But it used to not happen and be as common because the MLB season ended earlier and the NBA and NHL seasons started later. But with the MLB being extended into November, the World Series, with the NBA starting and NHL starting their seasons earlier, especially with the NHL going to 84 games next season, these sports equinoxes will happen at least once a year. And so yesterday, the greatest sports day on earth, the Equinox. Yes, we had the Major League Baseball Game 3. What an epic classic it was. 18 innings. If you were on the East Coast and you watched the whole game, you were up till 4 in the... Wait, it ended at midnight on the West Coast, so 3 in the morning, East Coast time, you would have been up to. Here on my time, Central, it was 2 o'clock I was up to. I stayed up and watched every at-bat, every pitch. It was such an amazing game, even though there were no runs scored within from the 7th to the 18th. It was just exciting baseball. And I know you might think, if you're not a baseball fan, well, Omar, how can baseball be exciting when there's no runs scored? But there were so many close plays at the plate. There were so many great defensive plays, even exciting errors in which Shohei, the greatest baseball player in the world, Ohtani, got picked off, caught stealing at second base. So it was a classic. And then as well, on top of that, you had Monday Night Football. The Chiefs blew out the Commanders, as we said they would, on Sunday Showdown. Shameless plug. Every Sunday, 7:15 Eastern, 4:15 Pacific. Come to Sunday Showdown. Check out your boy, the Sports Professor, joined by my brothers Club D, the Combat G, and hopefully to be continued, Dirty Mojo and Peach O Mania. We missed them this weekend, so shout out to them. We hope they will be back this week. As always, we like to hang out with our brothers. But anyways, myself and Clubber D, we talked about the game, and we said how we both predicted a blowout for the Chiefs, and that's exactly what it was. Then you had two NHL games, including the kid Sidney Crosby going out for the Penguins. Unfortunately, the NHL game didn't go over into overtime, because if it would have, then we would have had the amazing lineup of Shohei Ohtani, Patrick Mahomes, Nikola Jokic, and Sidney Crosby all playing at the same time. So that didn't happen. The NHL game did not go into overtime. But we also had NBA. My Celtics played last night, blew out the Pelicans. I watched that, but also watched the other games. We'll talk about the games in the NBA section coming up, because we got some good things to talk about. But yeah, the sports Equinox, so awesome to have everything on one day. And by the way, MLS also played yesterday. So if you want to count 5 sports at once, you could even do that, as Evander's FC Cincinnati faced off against the Columbus Crew in round 1 of the MLS playoffs. Speaking of, shout out to Nashville going up against Lionel Messi's Miami team. They're playing on Saturday here in Nashville at Geodis Park. So hopefully the Nashville SC will be able to pull out the victory in the playoffs. But yeah, amazing sports Equinox. As a sports fan, it is the best sporting time of the year, hands down. Oh, I just did the yeet. Shout out my brother Oos. What's up, Usos? My brothers. Yes, yeet on them fools. Anyways, Monday, I do want to talk about something, though. If you remember last week on the Professor Semanalmente, I talked about, with the NBA season starting, how fragmented the viewing is in sports these days. And the Equinox only further exploited that fragmentation. So listen to this. If you wanted to watch yesterday's Equinox, you would first of all have to have 4 TVs, or if you're like me, use a combination of TVs, laptop, and phone, and you get a few different screens there. You got the 2 TV setup I got. You can see them right there. And then I get the laptop and the phone going. I also got an extra laptop if I really wanted to get, 5 screen goings. I got extra phone if I really want 6 screens at once. But if you're not able to do that, or if you wanted to and didn't know how, the NFL played on ESPN and ABC, the Commanders and Chiefs. The NBA had 11 games, so you had a lot of chances to watch it, but you either had to have Peacock for 2 of the games, or you had to have NBA League Pass or local channels in order to see any of the 9 others. In order to see the Blue Jays Dodgers, you would have needed Fox. In order to see the NHL, you would have had to had either the NHL Network or ESPN Plus. I have ESPN Plus, thankfully, so I get all the NHL games. And then for MLS, you would have had to have Fox Sports or Apple TV. So you're like, what in the heck just happened? How am I supposed to watch all that? You even with cable, you would not have been able to watch all of it. You may have been able to watch the MLS, MLB, and NFL if you had cable, but you would have still missed out on NBA and NHL unless you had one of the league passes or Peacock and ESPN Plus. So the fragmentation in sports, while it's going to make each individual league richer with these new media rights deals that all the leagues are getting into, WNBA collective bargaining agreement we'll talk about later in the show, MLB, right, having their media rights deal coming up. All of these things play in together, hand in hand. It's the change in the sports media landscape. You look at NBA last year signing their $77 billion media rights deal. And now they're, as you saw in the Professor Semanalmente last week when I showed you the NBA, they're spread across 5-6 different streaming networks every day of the week. And it's like, wow, well, if I don't have all this, I can't watch all of this. So either you're a huge sports fan like myself, and I have ESPN, I have NBA League Pass, I have ESPN Plus, so I can watch the NHL. I have cable, or at least I have cable. Let's just say that. So I can watch all the cable channels, and I have Apple TV, so I can watch MLS. So, but unless you have all those things, and I have all the streaming just because I don't even know why, but actually a lot of them were bundled. So I got a lot of good deals on the streaming one, so it only made sense. But now I have like 8 streaming platforms and I barely watch any of them, but they're still really good deals because it's like 3 of them for $15-20. It's like you really can't beat that, so you keep it anyways. And if I can watch all my sports, then whatever. But anyways, the whole point was that fragmented viewing is here to stay in the overall sports landscape. Moving on into that awesome MLB game that we talked about just a few minutes ago. Wowzers, if you did not watch this game, if you don't like baseball, you really missed out on what was an amazing game. 18 innings, and I know you non-baseball fans are saying, well, that doesn't sound amazing. That just sounds like a long-ass game. And yes, it was a long-ass game. 6 hours and 39 minutes to be exact. 609 pitches. The Blue Jays used every one of their position players. The Dodgers used every one of their pitchers. It has been a whirlwind of a World Series. This might be one of the greatest in just terms of spectacle and magnitude, not even in terms of the game scores, to be honest, because game 1, Blue Jays blew them out 11-4. Game 2 was a little closer, 5-1. Yamamoto, complete game. But if you're a baseball purist, that complete game is something we don't see no more. So that complete game is something beautiful to the eyes of a baseball fan. So anyways, neither here nor, well, it is here and there, actually, because I'm talking about it. And if I'm talking about it, that's where you want to be at. The sports professor, baby, at Ball and Buds. Anyways, continuing on. He's actually had 2 complete game performances in these playoffs, which proves why he was worth that 12-year, $325 million contract that the Dodgers were able to sign him to. Anyways, going back to yesterday, Tyler Glasnow pitching for the Dodgers, the great Mad Max, the Warrior God, Scherzer, as they call him, the 41-year-old for the Blue Jays. By the way, first pitcher ever to appear in the World Series with 4 different teams: the Tigers, the Nationals, the Rangers, and the Blue Jays. And by the way, professor's fun fact, here, or your pro fact for the day on this, is the first and only position player is Lonnie Smith, who played for the Phillies, Cardinals, Royals, and Braves. Very good player. Go back and look him up if you don't know who he is. But anyways, so again, very, very cool. Let's check out our bracket. As you see it, you know where we're at. It's not hard to tell. We don't need to see anything really different because we already know that the bracket is down to the World Series. We got the Dodgers and we got the Blue Jays. And tonight we will move it into game 4. Dodgers with a 2-game lead. Who is going to pitch for the Dodgers, you ask? Only the greatest baseball unicorn on the planet right now, Shohei Ohtani, who, by the way, got on base 9 times last night, a record for any player. And by the way, he's going to pitch tonight. Just crazy. By the way, if you haven't checked out the short on Ball and Buds, is Shohei Ohtani the greatest baseball player, unicorn of all time? I have my brother Lion Reese Penn for the Rec Room Sports, Shane Pichomania from Ball and Buds, and Alan Perales is from Let's Talk Sports. We debate that in this quick 2-minute short, so go check it out. Please watch that video. But anyways, we'll give you our opinion. This is going to be crazy. He's going to pitch tonight, and he said he was winded, which I completely imagine after last night, because last night's game was crazy. Shout out, though, to Mr. Will Klein, who actually pitched 4 innings, getting into the 70s in pitches after being he's a reliever, so he's never thrown more than 50 pitches ever in his whole entire career as a reliever. So they got 4 scoreless innings from him, and you can't ask for anything more than that. He was their MVP because Yamamoto did not have to come in and pitch. But by the way, shout out to him for being a team player. Yamamoto, after throwing that complete game that we talked about yesterday, volunteered to Dave Roberts last night in the 17th inning that he would pitch if they didn't have any other pitchers. My man just pitched a 9-inning complete game yesterday, and he willing to come out and die on the sword for his team, because that's a quick way that you can get an arm injury, is by pitching that close back to back. Ask Johan Santana for my New York Mets after he pushed himself in that no-hitter and then came back and injured himself because he pitched on 4 days rest afterwards. It happens all the time. So for him to try to be that hero, that just says more about his character, and these Japanese players in general just bringing their culture and their character to the game. And that's not to disparage any of the players. I'm Hispanic. I love the Latin flair for the game. I love the bat tosses. I'm not one of those old men yelling on the lawn, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No. Have your passion. Have your, like in football, let them do their end zone dances. Who the hell cares? It ain't hurting nobody. But anyways, but still, the Japanese players bring a sense of reverence for the game, right? Some distinct love for the game that is different from other cultures. And even Yamamoto, after he pitched his complete game, he cleaned up all the trash in the dugout when all his teammates had left. Who the hell does that? They got these guys who get paid for that, $15. They get paid. You ain't got to do that, bro. I get it. I get that's in your culture, but man, you making $325 million, you don't got to do that no more. But I love it. And it shows the type of person that he is. And a good person is always going to win out in my view. You should always be good to your fellow man, love, and be kind to each other. That being said, Clayton Kershaw also came in with the bases loaded, top of the 12th, and the legend who has only pitched for the Dodgers was able to get them out of the jam. And finally, we'll talk about 2 other legends from the Dodgers. Freddie Freeman was another walk-off winner after a walk-off last year in the game 1. He had a walk-off here, a home run in the 18th inning to give the Dodgers the 6-5 win. Funny thing here, and John Smoltz said it on the telecast. Shout out to him for this distinct point of view as a player. When you get into those extra innings, everyone wants to be the hero, so everyone's aiming for the home run and trying to hit the ball as hard as possible. And after he said that, there were like 5 almost home run balls that got driven to the outfield wall right before they got caught by the outfielder. So it was very prescient of him to have that observation, and it was very true. And it cost the Dodgers a few times because they had 3 of them that went to the wall before Freeman finally took it out. Anyways, that was an amazing game. I could go on about that game all day long. I really hope you were able to catch it. Moving on into the NFL last night, we had a blowout, as I said earlier. Clever D and myself on Sunday Showdown both said that it would be a Chiefs blowout, and that it was 28-7. And while it was a game in the first half when it was 7-7, it was quickly turned into a blowout in the second half when the Chiefs then put the pedal to the medal and now have won 5 of 6 after starting the year 0-2. Everybody was woe is me. This and that. And it turned out that it was all for naught, as Patrick Mahomes has turned back into, not even turned back into, he never went away from, but has just continued to perform at legendary status. And as a Raider fan, it pains me up. Oh, God, I'm going to throw up. Oh, excuse me. I got to hold it down. As a Raiders fan, it hurts me to say this, but I've continually said this for years now on every stream that you'll see me on talking football. Until Patrick Mahomes is gone, the AFC West is on lockdown. I don't care if he starts 0-2. I don't care if he would have started 0-4 like the Ravens. I still would have picked him to get the division. So no hot take, Jake. Don't worry about your Broncos being 5-2, because it ain't gonna make a damn bit of difference when the Chiefs take you over. Holla. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see what happens there, but nothing really to talk about in that game per se, except the fact that the Chiefs are back in control of their game, and you will see them going forward take over the division down the stretch. The one game I do want to talk about from this weekend was that revenge game. Yes, Aaron Rodgers, now as a Pittsburgh Steeler, going back to, or sorry, not going back, they played in Pittsburgh, but playing against his former team, the Green Bay Packers. Man, he played there for 18 seasons. 18 seasons he played for that franchise. And he said, nah, he did the line, just like a lot of these athletes will do in these revenge games. Oh, it's all good. I'm not really worried about it. I don't have any extra emotions for this game. I don't have any extra energy. I don't have any hostility, this and that. Blase, blase, blah. Save that for the birds. Ain't nobody want to hear that. This game was the most meaningful game of his career outside of winning the Super Bowl. And it was just like when Brett Favre did the same thing, and he said he was as nervous as he had ever been going into the game. But unlike Green Bay, unlike Favre with the Vikings, who swept Green Bay 2-0, and Brett Favre had 523 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in 2 wins, A-Rod unfortunately lost the game this weekend to the Packers, but it was a good game. It was a fun watch. Unfortunately, Green Bay is, and I said this on the Sunday Showdown, is the better team overall. I like Pittsburgh. I like Mike Tomlin. I think he's a great coach. I think everybody should shut the hell up about him being fired. That's ridiculous. He's only consistently been a winner every year. Yeah, you're not going to win the playoffs every year. Sorry. You bring somebody else, and who you going to bring? And you think they're just going to go make the playoffs every year? Okay, you dreaming. That's the problem with unrealistic sports fans. That being said, the Packers are a better team at this point. And when Rodgers left Green Bay, it was because he had got upset that they drafted Jordan Love. Was that the exact reason at that point in time? No, he stayed mad for a little bit until that Jordan Love was ready, but he was in the same position that he had put Brett Favre, not he, but that the franchise had put Brett Favre in by drafting him at the same exact point, which brings me to my professor's pro fact for the NFL today, and you're going to love this one. And I heard this on the broadcast. Shout out to the broadcasters, Troy Aikman and wait, was it? No, Joe Buck was on the World Series game, wasn't he? No, he wasn't. That was John. Okay, yes, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. Anyways, they pointed out that Brett Favre won his title with the Packers at age 27. Aaron Rodgers won his title with the Packers at 27. Jordan Love is 26, about to turn 27. The Packers are 5-1-1. I was going to pick the Packers next year as my championship team. I had already planned that out since I was on Bottom Line last year because I could see their progression of getting better. And I was like, okay, I'm going to choose them in a couple years if they're still good, right? But shout out to Hot Take Jake for picking them this year. Because if it holds at 27, Jordan Love would be due to win the championship. And as a storyteller, as a professor who loves the storylines, I'm always going to go with some serendipitous shit like that. And all three of them winning at 27, you can't say that's not cool and it's not crazy. So I definitely would love to see it because it's not like my Raiders are going to win anyways. They suck. Love you, but you suck. By the way, programming note, I do want to say that I made a mistake on Sunday Showdown. I said that Lamar Jackson had played. I swear I thought I saw him at the end of the game. I thought I saw them put him out there for a few plays at the end of the game. I thought I even heard his name. I know Tyler Huntley started the game, but I guess I made that shit up in my head, and my bad. I made that up. Didn't mean to. Lamar Jackson did not play in the last game. So that was, I just made that up, apparently. But he will come back this week, John Harbaugh says, for the Dolphins game. All right, cool. Moving on, by the way, go ahead and hit that like button, whether watching now or on the replay. I really appreciate it. And there's a QR code up there at the top. Scan that bad boy. Make sure you subscribe at YouTube at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. Appreciate that. And let's get to some comments here. Ooh, my brother Canteen. Holla. My brother Canteen doing well there with the Bottom Line Sports, who I just talked about a couple minutes ago. And he says, I like Toronto tonight and some good bourbon. Yes, my brother. Bourbon in arms. We both love good bourbon. So you got Toronto tonight, you say, huh? Let me check on the spread on that really quick for everybody. So Toronto. Okay. Canteen. Are you talking the Maple Leafs or are you talking the Raptors? Because the Raptors don't play tonight. Let me see. You must be talking hockey. Let's see. You talking hockey? He is talking hockey. You got the Maple Leafs tonight, huh? They're down 1-0 to the Flames. I'm just joking. I know. I'm just messing with you. I know you're talking about the Blue Jays. We got World Series Game 4 tonight. I'm excited, and I do as well have the Blue Jays tying this up. Dodgers have barely any bullpen. I don't know what they're going to do after Shohei. Shohei may have to pitch a complete game, which is not out of the realm of possibility, being Shohei Ohtani, but it'll be much harder said than done. So we'll see what happens there. But I got Toronto too. Thank you for tuning in. All right, now let us hit those NFL sports professor NFL power rankings. Here we go. Look at this. These are my power rankings for the week. Yes, not much movement from last week, as pretty much everybody in the top 5 either won or did not play. Buccaneers, Colts, Bills, Eagles all won by blowout fashion, and the Detroit Lions had the week off. So this top 5 does not change from last week. Your sports professor's NFL power ranking top 5. Now, moving on, college AP top 25 of the week. Yes, we had some shake-ups, and I'm not just talking the coach. Yeah, you heard me on Sunday Showdown. I know you heard it when I said Brian Kelly was not for long at LSU and that he was going to be gone soon. He was fired the next day. I don't like calling people's obvious firing. That's not what I was asking for at all. But just seeing how the trajectory was going of the program and knowing where they want to be as a college and a university, I figured it was only a matter of time, and he was let go the next day after Texas A&M whooped that behind 49-25. Ole Miss also beat Oklahoma 34-26. Great victory for them. And finally, Vanderbilt. Yes, here at College Game Day. You know your boy was there at College Game Day watching Pat McAfee and the rest of the crew up there. It was pretty cool seeing that field goal kick live in person. Pretty awesome. But anyways, so Vanderbilt, good victory over number 15 Missouri, 17-10. to 10 score. So looking at our AP top 10 here, Ohio State is number 1. Indiana, after blowed the hell out with some ass whooping casserole, as we say in my friends group. My UCLA Bruins just look like some booty juice, look like some basuda, the kind of booty juice that UCLA looked like in this 56-6 loss was the kind of booty juice you would see if you saw a brown bear, maybe a grizzly, going across the woods, chasing after a rabbit, maybe a deer, and they feast and they eat, right? They eat a lot and they get all their fat. They're laying down. They're going to hibernate. And all of a sudden they go to fart and they get a shart on themselves. And you're like, what? What was that? You're like, did you just shart on yourself? And then the juice kind of rolls down the bear's backside. That's the kind of booty juice that the UCLA Bruins look like. Moving on. Canteen, your Georgia Bulldogs at number 5. Alabama once up against them at number 4. And then again, Vanderbilt there at number 9. Miami sneaking back into the top 10, tied with BYU at number 10. Nice surprise there. Shout out to Knoxville, 14. The Virginia Cavaliers, shout out my home state, number 15. Shout out Clutch Bees, Michigan at 21. And great victory by Memphis over South Florida to get them into the top 25. So yeah, really awesome week of college football. But yeah, back to Brian Kelly being done after 3.5 seasons. And look, LSU is not the type of team that's going to stand around, the type of university that's going to stand around and be bad at football or even be, and they weren't even bad, right? In his 3.5 seasons, he was 34-14, which is not bad for most universities. That is not one of them. That is LSU. They are not one of those universities. If they are not in the playoffs year in and year out, they're considering it a failure. And so with not being able to capitalize on Jaden Daniels' Heisman campaign, on an appearance in an SEC title game, among other things, for a top-line program like LSU, after you got blowed out by a Texas A&M team that, by the way, just fired Jimbo Fisher and paid a $72 million buyout earlier in the year, then you're not going to feel bad about having to pay Brian Kelly's $54 million buyout. And they can say that he wasn't a cultural fit. No one has ever been a cultural fit at LSU since Ed Orgeron. All right? Les Miles wasn't. Nick Saban at Alabama wasn't. But if you're a good coach, you win championships no matter what. So you can say, yeah, it was his corny ass country voice he came in with, knowing damn well he ain't been nowhere but the Northeast and Midwest, maybe at the best in Notre Dame. And he came with that fake ass Southern accent. We already knew it was over for him at that point. Plus, what? You mean you tell me you got Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas, and not you can't get one championship out of any of them? Now, I don't know about that. Now, again, this brings you to the question of all coach firings. Where do you go from here? In college, it is at least a little easier to find good coaches, and you can pluck from lower universities, like speaking of a Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. I hope he doesn't go because Vanderbilt's his alma mater, but I wouldn't be surprised that he's going to be one of the top coaching candidates. Another one of my most despised, Lane Kiffin. You know, we don't get along at all. He'll be another hot name in the coaching arena. So we'll see what happens. LSU is going to have their pick of the litter because they should be the number 1 spot this offseason. You could go as well with Penn State, but I don't believe so. I think LSU is a bigger job than Penn State. Penn State would probably be number 2 on that list. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll keep you updated. But yeah, that's your college football news for the week. Moving it into the NBA. Yes, let's get you a little NBA and NHL update power rankings. First of all, in the NBA, Chicago Bulls, Philadelphia 76ers, San Antonio Spurs, Oklahoma City Thunder, only undefeated teams left after 1 week. Thunder beating the Mavs last night, 101-94. Mavs 1-3 with Cooper Flagg, the Rook, and Anthony Davis healthy. Not looking good thus far. Kyrie Irving still not there. We'll see what happens. The biggest story of the year in terms of players, Victor the Alien Wembanyama, leading the Spurs to a 4-0 record, looking to take them to the playoffs for the first time in his 3-year career. 24 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists. This dude is crazy, yo. Me and Warren Shaw, shout out from the Baseline NBA podcast. We were talking about this in our interview. Go check it out on YouTube at Ball and Buds. We were talking about this last week about him and just how much of an alien he is. And I remember saying to Warren, I was like, it's just crazy how he could just go off the dribble and cross you up and step back and hit a three. And then that first game he went up, not only did he work AD, but then he came back and worked Derek Lively 2 with a crossover from 3, not 2, with the fadeaway, chopped him up, backed it up, hit it from 3, game over, another day. Rhymes from Street Professor just dropped, by the way, if you didn't hear those bars. Victor Wembanyama is going to be a problem for this year within this league for decades to come. God forbid injury, because he is a little lanky, and I get scared when I see tall players like that playing basketball, because I just get worried that they're going to get undercut or something might happen. And I don't want to see that at all to him, or anybody, but definitely, the special kind of talent that he is, you don't want to see that go down. So let's talk about some stars. Tyrese Maxey dropped 40 again, leading the Sixers to an undefeated record. We talked about the Bulls. Shout out the Snail being undefeated, beating the Hawks last night. Hawks have not looked as good as we thought they were going to look. 1-3. My brother Warren there at the Baseline, we talked about that as well. Lauri Markkanen hit 50. That was right after Austin Reeves hit 51 and then he hit 41 the next night. That's after SGA hit 55, and that's after Aaron Gordon hit 50. So we've had 4 50-point games in the first week. The NBA is blazing and off to an amazing start in terms of play. But wait, there's more.
You know, at the start of every Walking Dead episode, they always have that previously voice. So if you want to hear somebody do that, previously on The Walking Dead.
Previously on the Professor's Semanalmente. You'll know that the NBA season is not all about that, because we have a much bigger issue. I talked about it on the Mind of the Professor a long time ago when I talked about gambling in sports and how it was going to become a problem. And I'm sure a lot of people besides myself saw that coming as well. But clearly, Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, didn't, when he was the initial commissioner to start spurring on sports betting within leagues and allowing that to come to fruition. So now you can't go back on what can of worms you opened, sir. This is your fault. And so shocking breaking news reverberated throughout the NBA. Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones were among over 30 people arrested by the FBI into illegal gambling investigations. Billups and Rozier are on immediate leave while everybody is being investigated for wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering conspiracy. Not a good look at all. And again, goes back to that op-ed in 2014 that Adam Silver wrote that said he supported sports betting. Okay, well now, 11 years later, they have this issue, and then the NBA puts out a memo after this all happens, because we don't forget Jonte Porter was already banned from the NBA for life for doing similar to what Terry Rozier did here. So what did happen before we get into that memo? For Chauncey Billups, The Portland Trail Blazers coach was arrested at 6 a.m. in Oregon following the team's opening night loss to Minnesota. The allegations involve him participating in illegal poker games that were rigged and run by the mafia. Even dropped a La Cosa Nostra reference, did the FBI director Kash Patel. Billups allegedly participated in illegal poker games as the face card or as the celebrity that brings the marks in or the people that they're going to scam in. These games, this is crazy, y'all, allegedly had shuffling machines that read the cards and knew who would have what in their hands at all times because they knew what was being dealt at all times. They had an x-ray table where you could read the cards face down. They even had cameras that were inside where the chips are held to look up at cards that were face down. And they even had contact lenses and glasses worn by some of the people that could look to see what was on the cards. So this is some crazy sci-fi next level type shit they had going on in these things. Billups was not named as someone, Billups was not named in the initial sports betting investigation, but he does fit the description of someone the FBI gave information about Blazers players sitting out in a game in March 2023. So obviously he has potential, a lot of charges, up to 20 years hanging over his head if convicted. He just signed a contract extension. He was the Portland Trail Blazers head coach. So we'll see we'll keep you updated what happens exactly with him. But there have been tweets and podcast clips in the past that reference Billups poker games as nefarious endeavors. So, I mean, again, this is just crazy, but you wouldn't think that someone like a Chauncey Billups would need this with all the money that he's made in his career and I mean, I would assume he still has, especially with the contract extension he just signed. So this might feel more like just trying to make more than you have, or even just the competition part, or even just the scamming part. Again, these are all allegations. We'll keep you updated. For Terry Rozier's part, you'll remember the NBA recently investigated him and said that they couldn't find any wrongdoing. But there are allegations that he would take himself out of games, including one game in particular, in which he sent messages to people to go ahead and bet on the fact that they were going to hit the under because he was going to take himself out very early in the first quarter. So Rozier is the big perpetrator here that they were trying to catch in this whole thing, and has been investigated for a while now because, again, he would have been using himself as the prop bet, which is just going even a little deeper into it than just saying about other people, which also is where we come to Damon Jones. Damon Jones is said to have sold insider information about players missing games, including the King, LeBron James. Yes, he sold information on his own friend on when he was going to be missing games. So again, all allegations. We don't actually know what is true and what is not true yet. But obviously the FBI has been doing their due diligence for a long time in order to bring these charges up and arrest these people. They ain't going to do it and make a big scene in a perp walk for nothing. Celtics forward and NBPA Vice President Jaylen Brown calls for more teaching of the players, and instead of prioritizing revenue from gambling, actually protecting the players. So there was a full memo sent out by the NBA. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but essentially it says, in light of these charges, the NBA is going to put additional scrutiny not only on injury reports, so they can see when players are saying they're going to be injured and then what actually happens in the games. They're going to pay attention more to prop bets. They're also going to start using AI to better use it. They are using it, better use it with the gambling operators to identify these players that could be doing it. So they're trying these different ways. But again, that just takes me back to the fact that, well, this can of worms was opened by the NBA commissioner, and At this point, if you ask yourself what can be done to end these betting scandals in sports, there is nothing that can be done. There is nothing, absolutely nothing that can be done. First of all, it's not like gambling hasn't been around forever. We can go back to the Black Sox in 1919. You can go to Pete Rose, the hit king in baseball, still not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But it's only more prevalent now that we actually have sports gambling legal and players themselves are able to bet on sports. For instance, college athletes can bet on pro sports. So what happens when those college athletes then graduate and go pro? Do you think they're just going to stop doing this activity they've been doing for years? No, it's just not even fathomable that you would think that it wouldn't happen. Now, you would hope that the majority of people would take things like this and say, okay, well, we could get in a lot of trouble with the FBI. Maybe we shouldn't do it. But there's always going to be people that break the rules. And hey, some people will say, if you can, it ain't cheating if you can get away with it. I'm not advocating for that, but I'm just saying that's what some people say. So we'll see what happens, but this really does overshadow Victor Wembanyama and the hot start in play to the NBA when you have things like this that overshadow the actual gameplay. Right? Clubber D, I did some same playing Unos in the 19. Yes, sir. He was hustling them, huh? He was getting them on the reverse 4. It's like it would be a reverse 8 card all of a sudden. Oh man. By the way, I heard they do have an FU like Unos version, which is that's pretty crazy. But yeah, it's like a reverse 8, or I'd be so mad. I'd be so upset. Anyways, let's go ahead and give you those NBA Power Ranking.com. OKC there. This is from yesterday. So before yesterday's game, OKC is 4-0 now. Golden State, they're at the number 2 spot. They also won. Denver also won, so they stay at the 3. New York, they're at number 4, 2-1, and Cleveland rounding out the top 5 at 2-1. They won also last night. Actually, I believe all 5 of those teams won last night. So there you go. Actually, I don't think the Knicks played, but the other 4 definitely played and won. All right, so there's your power rankings for the week, NBA. Again, OKC is the one to beat, but don't count Golden State out, as me and my brother Warren Shaw talked about from the Baseline NBA podcast. Golden State, do not count them out just yet. And my pick, the New York Knickerbockers. I can't believe I ever picked them to win the championship, are holding strong. Moving into our NHL power rankings for the week, the Colorado Avalanche are at number 1. The Las Vegas Golden Knights at number 2. Number 3, you've got the Winnipeg Jets. At number 4, you've got the Detroit Red Wings. And at number 5, you've got the Carolina Hurricanes. Look at those Washington, D.C. Capitals at number 7. But yeah, Avalanche, real hot start to this year. Also a hot start is the young kids. We had 3 hat tricks on the 23rd, so 5 days ago, and one of them was by the 19-year-old number 1 pick from last year, Shark Star Macklin Celebrini, had 3 goals and a hat trick. Then the Rangers' fourth liner, which means you're barely playing in most games, Taylor Radish, you're getting like 7 to 10 minutes a game, somehow came up with 4 goals. And then finally, the St. Louis, or the 21-year-old Utah center. Yes, Utah has a hockey team, y'all. The Utah Mammoth, Logan Cooley, piled up a hat trick as well. By the way, the Mammoth off to a hot start in the NHL. You can see them there at number 11 in our power rankings, but I believe they've only lost 2 games so far, or even 1. So, and in the NBA, in the NHL, it's easier for expansion teams to win games because the NHL actually does it right and lets them actually they make other good teams give up good players, not just any players. But whatever. For the NHL, if you like the sports equinox yesterday, you will love the happy staggered start day today. Started just an hour ago. All 32 NHL hockey teams in action tonight. It started an hour ago. Every 15 minutes, a new game will start. So if you like hockey and you have ESPN Plus, have one of your TVs glued on ESPN Plus, because every team in the league will be playing tonight, and you have 16 NHL games to watch. I know I'll have one TV on the World Series and the other TV on ESPN Plus, so I can watch all the hockey games. And then I'll have NBA League Pass on my computer so I can watch some NBA games. And that's what we're going to go do here in a little bit. So I'm going to get us off. Oh, wow. I don't know. I guess if I'm getting myself, it wouldn't be a pause. But you know what? We're just going to move it on. We don't need to. That's just was going to get me in a bad place, and I don't want to get canceled. So moving on to the WNBA, the CBA collective bargaining agreement deadline is just days away. Friday, more than 70 elected officials, including New York City Council member Tiffany Caban and a number of, maybe Caban, Caban, actually. Caban is what it looks like, Tiffany Caban, and a number of politicians from the Democratic's Women's Caucus and House Democratic Caucus, 85 members to be exact, sent a plea for them to be able to get a fair deal done and bargain in good faith between teams so that there is not a labor shutdown. We already got a government shutdown. We don't need a labor shutdown. I know some people watching now would truly agree, and I hope we get that solved soon so my peoples can get their money. That being said, we'll see what happens. Also, New York City mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani, and I haven't talked about the news. I did a brief news last week, so I haven't had a chance to talk about Zoran Mamdani, but wow, is he really upsetting the conservative side of the aisle. They do not like that guy because he called himself a socialist. And you know what? If he's a socialist, well, then damn, we need socialist policies, because I'm all for universal health care and, universal housing and all that good stuff. If people need help, we should be giving them help. If you can afford to do it on your own, that's great, but a lot of people can't, and we should be helping those people out. So damn it, if that's what you call it, then that's what the hell you can call me too. But anyways, we'll get off of that because we don't need all that. People jumping up in my comments and shit just because I want to help people and care for poor people, and you don't. It makes you an asshole, not me. Anyways, moving on. Finish it up. Preseason AP All-American Women's College Basketball Team. Yes, you see it. Here we are. The team includes from UCLA. Yes, Bruins are going to do it this year. Lauren Betts, the super senior center. Actually, she's not a super senior. She's a regular senior, but I meant super because she is a superhero, the 6'7" center, the player of the year last year, was an absolute beast. I saw her in person when they played Maryland in College Park, and she was absolutely amazing. And even though they lost their whole bench, and so they don't have a lot of depth, their whole starting lineup is coming back, and they picked up a couple key transfers, and they're having one of their transfers come back from injury. So all in all, they'll have a nice round top 8 that can win the championship this year. I'm cheering for it. Let's go, UCLA Bruins. UCLA, fight. UConn, Sarah Strong had an amazing freshman year last year. She is a sophomore coming back. She will be the leader there at UConn. She was also named to the team. Also, how about junior at Texas wing Madison Booker? She's been on this list every year since a freshman. She's amazing. Hannah Hidalgo, another one that's on this list year in and year out, junior guard from Notre Dame. Also an amazing player as well. And finally, we have Tanaya Lotson rounding out the top 5. She is a transfer. She was at Florida State University last year and has now transferred to Dawn Staley's South Carolina Gamecocks, always contenders in the women's college basketball. And that is it for your happy sports Equinox Day. Yes, what an amazing day it was yesterday. Go enjoy your World Series tonight. Go enjoy your 16 NHL games. It's an amazing sports week. The greatest day in sports yesterday was amazing, and I hope you enjoyed this Sports Equinox edition of the Professor's Semanalmente. I am your host, Omar, the Sports Professor Fonseca. Please make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS, handy QR code up there top. Hit that. It'll take you to our link tree. Subscribe and also hit that like button, whether watching now or on the replay. Yes, indeedy. Helps us out in the algorithm, and I really appreciate it. By the way, also tune in Sunday Showdown every Sunday, 7:15 Eastern. As I said, the Sports Professor, myself, Clubber D, the Combat G, Dirty Mojo, and Shane Peachomania better be joining us next week. And then finally, we'll have the boxing stream coming up, Boxing Champs, in a couple weeks for the Gervonta Davis, Jake Paul shenanigan fight. And we'll also, I may have some special guests too. And we'll also have our NBA stream coming up, hopefully next week. I'm going to get Bobby G. I'm going to get my brother Jay from Unfair Sports, hopefully have another special guest for that as well. And then as well, looking forward to the IOW version of the Professor Semanalmente Sports, hopefully here in another couple of weeks once we get that settled. And then finally, Total Evisceration is coming. I know we've been talking about it for 9 months now. I unfortunately just got really caught up because I'm making a course on social media for small business owners that I've been working on. That was first priority. And I had the channel that I had to do videos for. And so unfortunately I was not able to edit the videos. And so we're going to do it live, and it's going to be even better. Like if you thought recorded was going to be good of me and Hot Take Jake going to each other's jugular over sports for 30 minutes, you're going to love Total Evisceration. It's going to be 3 topics, Hot Take Jake and the Sports Professor. We're going to go back and forth at each other. We're going to be yelling. We're going to be screaming. We're going to be talking shit. And we're just going to have a great old time. Real sports talk, real sports value, and real sports passion with real sports friends and streamers on the like. Y'all check out the Final Say podcast with Hot Take Jake and the brothers there. And as well, make sure you're subscribed to Ball and Buds. We are going to start this in the new year. I'm actually going back to Puerto Rico for Christmas. I will have to go see my grandmothers and family. So I'll be gone all of December. So I won't be doing very much streaming except here and there when I get Wi-Fi. But Total Evisceration, look for it in the new year. It's going to be on Tuesdays. So it'll probably start the second Tuesday of January. I'll probably do the first premiere recorded version on the first Tuesday because I have Country Box. Shout out Country Box and Jimmy Adams. By the way, next week they'll be at the Opryland. Oh God, plus the Troubadour Theater in Opry Mills in Nashville. Cool. So again, make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. Handy QR code up there at top as well for our link tree. Hit that like button, whether watching now or on the replay. And y'all be kind to each other. Be blessed. Go out and help another person. Be your best. Be successful. Get lucky or be dusty, as we say. And spread love the Omar way. Holla. 5,000.
That street on high five beat. Give me paper, pen, and one mic to make this man complete. I'm always stay sucker free. So haters hop off my dish till the day I die. Focus till my mission complete. Never stops that victory from the jaws of defeat. Focused on create heat. Missile shot, war down enemies. We must defeat. This MC is so unique. Rocking heads, stop them dead, then bring them back to their feet. You better watch what you speak. Cause popping off with the mouth, I leave your body feel weak. Switch your face and grit your teeth. Cause anything else will have your outlook look bleak. Death is the time for sleep. Never slow down, never stop. I'm always on my grind. In any mountain I will climb. Reach my physical prime and I ascend to the peak.
Introducing Omar, the Professor Fonseca, and the Professor Semanalmente.